This is Paul's 46th birthday
46, buddy.
interview. November 8th, 1978. Yeah,
It's
11
a
8
big day. Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Height of the disco era.
Was it?
78 and 79. Yeah, it was like a 2-year deal.
A 2-year deal?
Yes. It was a crazy 2 years, I guess. That's what I always say. Whenever I see like the disco era was, 78, 79, I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I'm so nutty. Yeah. I think so. Yeah,
Wow,
if I remember correctly.
Wild.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter was president.
Wow, I guess it wasn't that long ago. He's ancient.
I know. Well, he's been in hospice for about a year now.
Golly.
I know. He's still holding on.
Wow.
Still alive. He outlived George H.W. Bush. But yeah, he's still alive.
That's great.
And then Ronald Reagan in 1980, he became president for 8 years. So yeah, he was president when Adam, and I guess when you were born too. So all four of y'all.
Well, I didn't know he got elected in 80?
80, yeah, 80 through 88. And then the election was in 88. So yeah, it would have been election season when y'all were born, so he still would have been president. And then George Bush Sr., he won in 88. And then the next election was in 92 is when Bill Clinton ran.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, I thought Reagan was after that.
Nope. Reagan, George Bush Sr. for 4 years, Bill Clinton for 8 years, George W. Bush for 8 years, Obama for 8 years, Trump, Biden, Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow.
There you go. There's a recap of the presidential administration since I've been born.
Yeah, there's not that many.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Cool, well, guess we'll just jump right in.
Yeah, man.
All right. Do you have a favorite moment from this past year?
So being a dad, you know, a lot of your favorite moments are of your kiddo.
For sure.
But there are a lot of firsts with Nathan, so I'll answer that one later.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Rangers won our first World Series.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just before my last birthday, so technically the World Series win itself was not this past year.
Mm-hmm.
I missed it by like 5 days or something.
Yeah.
But this year was all the celebrations.
We'll allow it.
Yeah, okay. First World Series victory for the Rangers, baby.
Yeah.
But this year was all the celebrations, though. Like I went after my last birthday, I did go to the parade.
The parade, yeah.
Yep. And I'm famous because I got a picture taken by the Texas Rangers organization, and they posted it on their social media pages. Just when they had the parade, they posted a photo gallery of all the.
Did you send us this?
I think so. So Landry and I were on a roof.
Uh-huh.
We climbed up on a roof to get a vantage point of the parade, and we were like there was only a couple people up there, and anyway, so it ended up being this big stockpile of people. But you had to go, and you found this electric meter coming out of the side, and you had to kind of boost people up. I mean, totally just not safe,
probably frowned upon.
Yes, it's absolutely. And so we got on this warehouse wall, and so then we went to the warehouse wall, and you had an awesome vantage point of the parade, looking over the crowd, and so I got some awesome videos of it. But anyway, the Rangers during the parade at some point, they're like, oh my gosh, look at all these people on top of a building, and they took a picture, and if you zoom in, you can see me with my phone getting stuff on video, and Landry is right next to me, Jennifer and Eric's son.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome. And then during this baseball season, the Rangers, even though the Rangers had a terrible season,
not great.
Yeah, indeed, but Nathan and I just had a ball with the celebration. So we went to a few games where they were giving out, they had a promotion for replica World Series rings.
Yeah.
And Nathan, he's at that age where he's like, oh my gosh, there's diamonds, it's gold, and so he has this little collection of World Series replica rings.
Nice.
And yes, and so that was a lot of fun. And then when you go there, they have all these places set up with a big, huge World Series ring where you can get pictures taken and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a blast. We got a bobblehead of a famous scene from Corey Seager when he hit that game-tying home run in Game 1. Do you remember that?
No.
So in the bottom of the ninth, Rangers are down by 2. We had a man on.
Yeah.
It was our number 9 hitter, our center fielder. I'm forgetting his name now, but he got a walk. and got on first base. Corey Seager comes up to bat. I may be wrong with the order, I think, and then Marcus Semien got out. But anyways, Corey Seager comes on, and he just jacks this home run with a man on. Ties the game, but it was just, and he's kind of a mild-mannered guy, but he got completely stoked, and he crushes this home run, and he just starts screaming. But as soon as he crushes it off his bat, nobody else is really cheering just yet, but he knew as soon as it left his bat, it was gone. And so as soon as he hits it, he just starts to scream while everybody else is looking up,
just waiting,
and he's holding the bat down here like this with his mouth wide open. And so there's a famous pose of that with his mouth, holding the bat, and they made a bobblehead with it, and so we got that bobblehead. Yeah,
cool.
So that was one thing that was awesome, was the Rangers World Series.
Yeah, the whole damn experience.
Oh yeah, the whole experience, all the celebrations.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the presidential election. I'm very happy with the results of the presidential election, so that is pretty darn cool. I think it's whether you like Trump or hate him. I mean, the comeback. To come back after everything that he's been through and to be elected president. And of course, I'm a Trump fan, and so it's exciting for me. I know a lot of people feel much differently about that, but but yeah, it's a pretty exciting time for me and for Trump supporters. Even just a lot of people who may not be a Trump fan, they still admire the fact that after everything he's been through, he's president again. It was awesome. And then here, a personal one that's pretty cool. A favorite moment is I realized I'm actually 6'1" instead of 6 foot.
Oh, really?
The last time I had ever actually measured myself was my senior year in high school, and I was 6 foot, and I just never felt like I grew at all since high school. And so I've always, and usually at the DMV or even at the doctor's office, they'll just say, "How tall are you?" and you tell them 6 foot.
Yeah.
But then there was a scale, a meter at the airport recently, and we were at the airport waiting for our gate, and Kelly always says she's 5'11", and I always tell her, you are not 5'11", you are 5'10", I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
And so then I was like, come here, take off your shoes, I'm going to show you. And so sure enough, she gets up there and she's 5'10", and I take a picture and she's like, whatever. And then she's like, you go stand up. And I took off my shoes and got it, and boom, 6'1". I'm like, what the heck? I'm 6'1". So yeah.
Now you feel even bigger.
Yeah, really. Well, it's funny. I'm the tallest one in the dang family, But Grandpa Nelson, he was 6'1", so I guess I got that gene. But everybody else is 5'10" or below. Are you 5'10" or 5'9"?
5'9".
5'9". I think you and Kevin. I haven't
measured myself.
I think all three of y'all are 5'9".
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all like within half an inch of each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's just interesting. I got that gene.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, those are the kind of the favorite moments of the year for me.
Cool. All right. Well, question 2. Did you try something new this past year?
I did. So there was lots of first experiences with Nathan.
Cool.
So he lost his first teeth. He lost his 2 lower teeth. So that was fun. And one thing that was a lot of fun, it was actually one of my favorites, was he made the baseball all-star team.
Oh, yeah.
And so this was his 3rd season. He played 2 years of T-ball the past 2 years, and then this year he played coach pitch for the first time. And we didn't even know they had an all-star team at this point. They're not even keeping scores at the games, And so then we get an email toward the end where it's like they have an all-star team, and so the everybody on each team has to vote for 2 players to make the all-star team, and he got the most votes on the team, and so he made the all-star team. And the tournament was so darn fun. It was just a 1-day tournament, and he made it all the way to the finals. His team did so well.
Wow.
And yeah, they were so tired in the finals though. They lost the finals, and we were bummed.
Played a whole tournament in 1 day?
Yes, yeah. Started at 8 a.m. all the way. It was like back-to-back games. I think the most games you played was 4, but Friday evening they had a seed tournament or whatever, where they played like 2 games and to determine what seed they were in. 1 or 2 games. Anyways, so they made one of the top 2 seeds, so they actually got a bye round. So they didn't have their first game at 8. I think their first game was at 10, and they had to play 3 games, and the team that beat us was actually one that played 4 games, and so we can't really say we were too tired, 'cause those kids, man, they won 4 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a single elimination tournament too, so you lose 1, you're done. But what's really cool is I saw they were giving out championship rings. Like you could tell the commissioner was there and he had rings to give out. And we just assumed the champions were going to get the rings, and the kids were all bummed. But they had a championship ring and then they had a finalist ring.
Nice.
So both teams were given rings. And again, like I said earlier, Nathan is stoked about the rings. And so he was so pumped. And he's still to this day, he'll get that ring out and he'll be like, Daddy, I earned this. I earned this.
Is it nicer than like the ones you got for the World Series rings?
No,
Not
it's
really?
no. It's like bronze, and it has a couple of little, of course, it's just imitation plastic diamond stuff,
But the ones from the Rangers they're not like plastic?
No, they're actually pretty good quality. I should have brought one to show. Yeah. No, they're real metal, but it's not like, but they're like little glass diamonds and glass rubies and glass sapphires. But it's impressive with how, it's a really good collector's item. It really is. It's legit.
Cool.
Like we went ahead and bought little cases to put the ring in, that actually covers it and protects it from the sun and stuff, and it looks genuine. It really does. He freaking loves it.
Yeah.
He loves it. And that's actually ties into one favorite moment that I didn't think about. So Nathan has Elf on the Shelf that visits him for the first time last year, and he loves his Elf on the Shelf. His name is Nathy.
Yeah.
Okay, and this elf, and he is so genuine. If this is his little buddy, he has conversations with him, and it is just the most precious thing. And so Nathy visited again this year, very early, because right after the decorations were put up, and my beloved loves to put up the decorations as soon as we hit November 1st.
Really?
Right after Halloween's over, it's
Wow.
time for Christmas
I think
decorations.
that's the new norm.
Yes, you know why?
No?
Because of Diwali.
Oh.
Because of the Indian
That's the
holiday.
first, holiday of the
Yes, and so now because our
Ah.
Indian community is growing so much, now you get so many people who celebrate Diwali putting Christmas lights up right at the end of October and beginning of November.
guess
So
that's cool.
if they've impacted the entire community, we're all like, well, let's put the Christmas lights up then.
Yeah.
So we get 2 months worth of Christmas instead of just one, like when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's why it is, man. It's Diwali.
Cool.
Yes, but so now Nathan literally prayed to God in one of our evening prayers. He was like, God, please let Nathy come since we put up the Christmas decorations. So Nathy obliged, and he came right after. So we got Nathy running around our house for the next 2 months. But the cutest thing is the first morning he was here, Nathan was so excited that Nathy was here. Nathan went and got a bunch of all of his World Series rings and like gems and stuff and crystals that he had collected throughout the year, and he was showing Nathan Nathy one at a time, like, look at all my rings, isn't this cool? See how they kind of glisten? Most precious thing in the world. Oh my gosh, I have to send you the video if I haven't already.
I think
it is so cute. Yes, but that was just a wonderful experience. And then, so more just for myself, you want to check the time?
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got time. Good.
Good deal.
All right.
And then for myself, I went to Sturgis for the first time. And it was cool because I went with my old childhood friends, Brian Martinez, Jared Beard, and David Rogers. Did I tell you I did this?
No.
No?
What is Sturgis?
Yeah,
City,
okay.
or?
Sturgis is a motorcycle rally. It's the biggest one in the country.
Okay.
It's in South Dakota. Jared lives in Denver, and then Brian and David live in Oklahoma. I flew to Denver, and then Brian and David, they drove from Oklahoma to Denver, and they trailered their bikes up there. I rented a bike. Jared rented a bike. Yeah, well, I didn't rent a motorcycle. I rented a slingshot. So it's like a 3-wheeler. So you got 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the back.
Okay.
But you sit down in a bucket seat. You've got a steering wheel. You actually even have a seat belt on. You still wear a helmet. And so it's just safer. And you've got crash bars above you, And so I'm like, dude, I've got a 6-year-old at home. I
Yeah.
do not need to be taking unnecessary risks.
Yeah.
They, on the other hand, they did things right. And all
They
of
have
their
older
kids, yes, all of their kids are either graduated high school, or I think David has one that's a sophomore, and that's the only one still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So they're ready to start making up for lost time, okay? And I'm like, guys,
Start acting
I
cool.
don't have any lost time, okay? I partied through my 20s and my 30s. And so, but they're just like wanting to go to Sturgis and act crazy. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go, but I'm not going to rent a bike, you know? So anyway, it's just funny because I'm in a different stage of life than they are. They're wanting to party it up, and I'm like, guys, at 7 o'clock I start yawning, and they're ready to hit the club.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was an awesome experience. So I flew into Denver, and then we trailered our bikes. I drove the Slingshot up to South Dakota. It was like a 6-8 hour drive, something like that. And then we stayed there for, I think, 4 or 5 days, and beautiful country up there, beautiful riding. We didn't even do that much of the rally itself, but it's crazy because there's probably 9 motorcycles for every 1 car that you see the entire time you're there. As you're driving around that country, and you've got like Badlands National Park, Custer State Park, Wind Cave National Park, what is it? Devil's Tower National Monument. You have all these national parks, state parks, national monuments up there. Just beautiful country. Mount Rushmore, went and saw that, which is amazing, dude. Like, you don't realize how cool it is until you get up on it. And it's just so crisp. Like, their faces are sculpted so perfectly, but they're massive. Huge. You're just like, how did you get such detail with such a huge monument? Really cool. It's a good display of artistic. It's a good artistic display. It's beautiful and great for our country. You know, great. I got a spider over here. A great monument to our country. So yeah, those are my firsts that happened this past year. It was a lot of fun.
Man, that's cool. I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah, man,
That
it was
motorcycle
awesome.
trip?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if.
Because
I didn't send
you
you
did
guys-
send us a selfie of you with one. Was that during
Did
that
I?
time?
Yes.
Or you didn't rent one for another reason?
No, that would have been during the time. Yeah,
Okay.
that was so. Yeah, I was in there. I was in.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Thought you just randomly did that.
Yeah,
for
I
the fun
didn't.
of it.
I should have told you guys what the plans
No.
were. But yeah, that was it, man. It was a
Cool.
good time.
Did you try any new food that you can remember? 'Cause I know you actually like to try things.
Oh, I love it, man. I can't recall. I want to say I did. Oh my gosh, I can't recall.
We'll add it later.
Yeah. I can't. I did just have a first
You have
food
tried
experience.
So many foods already. There's not much new for you.
Yeah,
To try.
yeah. And I love it. I just love exposure to cultures.
Yeah.
But darn it, I did have a first experience, and I cannot remember what the heck it was. But I did just cook elk for the first time, so that was pretty cool. It came out pretty darn well. Even Kelly liked it. Yeah. I cooked it kind of rare, but at Wild Fork. Have you ever been there or heard of it?
No.
Well, you're not much of a meat eater, but
No.
but yeah, you can go and you can get wild game there and stuff like that. Like, you can get rabbit. They have a lot of bison. They have elk, venison. They have all kinds of stuff that you can get there. And so I got some elk and I cooked that for the first time. It's pretty good. Nice, good, lean meat, you know.
It's lean?
Yeah, it is. It's a little gamey, you know. It's not like one of the grain-fed beef marbled steaks that you get that's all tasty and soft, but it's much healthier, and it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, good stuff.
Cool.
Just the right pepper and salt on it. Tasty.
Well done.
Yeah, man.
Well, not well done.
Thank you. Yeah, medium done. Medium rare.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, man.
All right, this one's a fun question. What is something that used to be difficult but is now easy?
Easier. I think parenting is becoming easier, but definitely not easy. But oh my gosh, what a transition, dude. And I pray that you can experience it someday, man. It's just magical, absolutely magical. But especially when you have a child later in life, you're just so accustomed to worrying about yourself or your spouse. You know, you're just not. But when you have a child who is completely 100% dependent on you, and this child is just almost out of control. Like, it's just
Like his father.
Oh my gosh, it's just, you just don't know what in the world to do. It is very, very difficult. But so it was very hard making that transition in life. But I think we're at year 6 and we're finally getting there.
Yeah.
But it is, and he's, like I said, it's just a magical experience, and he's such a good kid. He's a strong-willed kid, but we're getting it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this year we're getting fewer CPS calls, so that's a plus. We've literally had CPS called on us 3 times.
It's absurd.
And it is absurd. It really is absurd. Oh my gosh! Yeah, well, his
sorry,
kindergarten.
that's not funny, but
I know
there's
you
something
you
funny
have
about
to
it.
you have to laugh about it. You've got to. But his kindergarten teacher called CPS because he was spanking boys' butts. He was looking under stalls when they were peeing and laughing because they were bothered by it, and there's one other thing that he was doing. So she reported us to CPS saying that he was exhibiting signs of sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through this very stressful CPS investigation, and he said, in my personal... First, he has to read you a mini Miranda saying that anything you say can be used to take custody of your child. So that's how they lead off, and they're required by the state to read this mini Miranda. And so you're just sitting here dead silent, not saying a freaking word. It's awful, man, awful. And I was so mad at his teacher. She was a first-year teacher, and whatever. She was trying to. She was just naive and ignorant, but she was doing what she thought was best to protect Nathan. Fine, whatever. We finally forgave her, but anyway, I mean, we went through this, and at the end, the officer said, in my professional opinion, this was an unfounded claim. This is exhibiting just a boy, being curious, thinking it's funny, and take it serious, have conversations with him, but this is not something that I am worried about. I'm going to be waiving this case after this conversation, so it ended up being no big deal, but it was just a very stressful and horrible experience. And then over the summer, he gets a marker, and some kid was ticking him off, and so he shoves a marker up a kid's butt, like in his clothes, like at his anus, basically. And this kid's like, stop! And so then they call CPS for that. So anyway, we've had to come down really hard on him for doing that. Like, nothing to do with privates. It's not funny. This is not a joke, And anyway, so I think we finally got past that. And this year so far, knock on wood, we don't have any CPS investigations. And he's actually got a really good teacher he calls strict, which is exactly what he needs, is a strict teacher. But they get along great. He's gotten to where he's adjusted. He likes her. He even draws her pictures and brings them to school. And Miss Stevens, she does a wonderful job, and we're grateful to have her. And so he's doing much better. And he's getting very good in math. He's starting to do division. Like, if you go ask him, what is 12 divided by 4, he can probably tell you. Mm-hmm. He's got a very mathematical mind, like you, me, and Dad. Cool. Yeah, he does. And Kevin. And so, yeah, I would say that's what's getting a little bit easier is parenting. We're starting to get the hang of it. Mm-hmm. And probably as soon as we get the hang of it, he'll become a teenager, and everything will change once the hormones start flowing.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
It seems like at this age, they're starting to figure out the world.
Yes. And
they kind of know how to act. Kind of.
They're getting there. They're becoming more aware, for sure. Yes, yes.
Do you think that makes it easier?
Yeah, I think so.
Just because he's actually making it easier for you?
Yes. Yeah. And it is very important. We try to stress, how would you feel if, like, what if you were the kid that somebody came and put a marker in your butt? How would you feel? Yeah. How do you think, when I see somebody else acting up, I'll point it out and be like, okay, well, how does that child look right now? He's just becoming more aware of perceptions, of what kind of perception he's giving off. But it really is. It's seeing the innocence of him, and just seeing that he's truly, and he'll ask you the questions that you think they're the questions that we take for granted. I can't really think of an example, but he's genuinely learning the world and learning philosophical things, and he's a very deep child. Mm-hmm. Like he saw a bug the other day, and the bug is just walking, just a little bug. He just goes, God made that. It's alive. It's moving. It's making its own decisions. It's like, kind of, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But he's just contemplating life. And the fact that we have a mind and we have choices to make, and that we can actually move, and that there's energy, it's pretty cool. It's a really cool experience. Nothing like it.
I had a bug on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. God made that.
Yeah. All right, is that one?
Yeah.
That's it for,
Yep.
Parenting is now easy.
There you go.
Super easy.
Well, yeah, easier.
All right, moving on. If you could create a rule that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
Well, I got to go religious on this one. My rule, if I had to create one that everybody had to follow, it would be to genuinely and sincerely give the teachings of Jesus Christ a chance. Because a lot of people just dismiss it without truly diving into it and giving his teachings a sincere chance. Because we are flawed individuals. You know, there is morality, there is absolute truth. You know, I believe in those things, and no matter what moral standard you establish, we fail at it. And so you look at every religion in the world, it's a kind of a roadmap of trying to earn our way to God. And no matter how hard we try to do that, the question is always, was it good enough? Is it good enough? Are we good enough? And truly, when you think about whatever that moral standard is, we're not good enough. And there's only one answer to fill us in where we are flawed, where we just to bring us past that point that we just cannot attain ourselves, and that's through Jesus Christ. And so I believe that he is, you know, he was a Jew in the Middle East, you know, 2,000 years ago in a completely different language, but he came to save the entire world. And now this faith, this religion, is the most commonly practiced religion on the planet, from one side of the world to the other. And which is exactly what he said was going to happen, is that his name would be heard through every corner of the globe. But it just breaks my heart that I see so many people struggling and like battling with depression and battling with just with different things in this world, battling with trials and battling with pain, and they don't have Jesus Christ to guide them through it. And we all are flawed, and I truly believe that the only way to truly find joy, real joy that cannot be replaced, is through Jesus Christ, through God, in God, through Jesus Christ. And I wish that, though, sometimes, like when I'm really in a deep moment where I can just feel his love just surrounding me, I cry just thinking, I wish that the world, those that don't know him, could feel the feeling that I have right now, and the joy, the grace, the forgiveness. It's something you can't put into words. And I wish to God that people would give him a genuine chance to freaking rescue them from the condition of human beings, you know. And just to experience that true joy. And he is the one way that we can be ushered into heaven to God the Father. And I just wish that the world would give him a genuine chance.
Yeah. Do you think, because the first thing you said was I guess we would give his teachings a chance, you know, aside from believing in Christianity and God and the supernatural stuff that happened. Do you think even just like his literal teachings, you know, kind of as if he were a teacher, you would just listen to what he had to say?
Yeah, and I thought about how I would word that.
Yeah, aside from what you believe about the afterlife or whatever.
Yep, exactly. Now that's perceptive that you caught that. So, and the reason that I say that is because you don't have to believe in him to give his teachings a chance, right? You can be on the outside looking in. You could go and give Buddha's teachings a chance, right? You can give anybody, Martin Luther King Jr.'s teachings a chance, you know. And so that's why I say no matter what faith journey you're in or that you avoid altogether, you can go and give the teachings of Christ a chance. And when you do that, and when you hear his teachings, you will, kind of the way the Bible puts it is, it's like looking into a mirror and seeing yourself. And that's what his teachings do, is they reveal yourself to you. If you're looking genuinely and openly, and you're not making excuses. You know, a very common phrase is, "You're only human." Why is that even a phrase? Why is that a saying? It's because we are imperfect, and everybody knows it. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're only human. Okay, so if we're even having to excuse ourselves for our own behavior, then how does that compare to the standards of our Creator? So Jesus reveals that to us, and he says, this is where you're flawed. And then there's story after story of one person saying, I've done everything. I have followed all the 10 commandments. He was a Jew, so he's in the Jewish society. I've followed all the 10 commandments. I've done this, I've done that. I worship, you know, I have followed it flawlessly. And he was asking Jesus, like, how can I get into heaven? And he's like, this is what I've done. And then Jesus is like, okay, you've heard that it is said. These are two different stories, but essentially it's you've heard that it said, do not kill. And everyone's like, I have not killed. I've not murdered anybody. He's like, okay, well, I tell you that even if you hate somebody, that is still sin. You've already killed them in your heart.
Mm.
You've heard that it said, do not commit adultery. They're like, okay, I haven't committed adultery. And adultery is really anybody not your spouse, even if it's like premarital sex, right? And then he's like, don't commit adultery. Okay, I haven't done that. See, so now do I get to heaven? He's like, but even if you look at a woman lustfully, then you've already committed adultery with her in your heart. So what Jesus did is he's like, before you think you're all high on the horse, what's in your heart? What kind of desires do you have in your heart toward other people? You know, and so he checks you, and he basically gives you no escape.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then it's just like, and then that's what his 12 disciples said. They were like, who then can get to heaven? Nobody can get to heaven. And what his response was is, with mankind it's impossible, but through God all things are possible. And so he directed everybody's attention toward God. So that's what I mean is when you focus on his teachings, he's going to tell you, you're flawed. You can't help it. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to save yourself. Trust in me, trust in my Father, and I will bring you there. Follow me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. So if you are genuinely seeking just the teachings of Christ, then that's what he's going to teach you, and that's where he's going to steer you. And then that's when you can say, now you've got a choice to make. There's a fork in the road. You can accept this gift of salvation and make him the Lord of your life and accept this to get to heaven one day at a time. You know, you're not going to be perfect, but are you going to follow his teachings and put your faith in him? Or are you going to turn away from him and go your own way? And so that's why I say just give the teachings a chance, a genuine chance, and then he'll let him do the rest. Mm-hmm. You know, and the Bible says that all we can do is plant a seed.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit is the only thing that can make it grow. I know I'm talking lots of religious talk, but you know that's so that's why I answer it that way. Is if I had a rule, I would basically force the seed to be planted. You know, like that would be my rule. Plant the seed, find out his teachings, and then let God do his work in your heart. But still, we have free will, and unfortunately, even people who do genuinely seek him still don't make that decision to follow him. But then at that point, at least there was the opportunity given. But that's what breaks my heart is a lot of people have never heard the genuine teachings of Christ, and they hear a lot of judgment, like the stuff on social media you see of just like you're going to hell. This like with the trans movement, that you hear just the most abhorrent things being said. But do you think for a second, okay, and you know of the history of Christianity, and this is why I ask other Christians, do you think for a second that if Christ were alive today, he would avoid the trans community? Do you think that he would be right in the middle of the gay bar, right in the middle of the gay parade? He absolutely would. That's what he did. He was in the middle of every sinner everywhere.
The most marginalized people.
The most marginalized people. Yeah, I say sinner, but not even calling it sin. Just people who were marginalized, people who are set apart, like kind of driven out by society. But anyway, so I mean, it's all about that love, and it's all about just saying like nobody is better than the other person. And if you've got that kind of judgment, the Bible says that judge and you too will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. So it's basically saying, go ahead and judge other people as long as you're okay with me judging you in the same manner, because otherwise you're a hypocrite, Yeah. So we just got to be very careful. But anyway, that's I could go on that forever, Make this a 40-minute interview real fast.
Yeah. No, but I like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't happen as often.
And I mean truly dive in to say, from A to Z, this is the teachings of Christ. Not just I heard a few things and it doesn't make sense to me, and so this is crap. Or hearing some of the bad examples of what Christians do, because again, even Christians, they're flawed. We're all flawed. Yeah. And unfortunately, some people have a bad experience because other people have scarred them. And it's not necessarily, it's not God who did it. It's other people who are representing God, or at least claiming God. Mm-hmm. And it's sad, but you can't, if anything, give God a chance, and then maybe you discover him and you put your faith in him, and go and hold those damn people accountable who scarred you. You know, let people know this is not the way, this is not the teaching of Christ, this is not what Christ calls us to. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. At the very least, I don't know, I'm sure he'll teach you something about not being an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is. It's instead of a posture of, okay, well, he tells me not to have sex outside of marriage, I better not do it. Oh, he tells me not to do this. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. It's not like that. First of all, anything he instructs, once you know, he's trying to protect you. He's either protecting you or others. Like, every sin is either protecting you or protecting others. And when you understand that, and that hit me later in life, actually, like with sexual purity, but I won't go down that road. But everything he's saying, you know, when I indulged in it, you know, for a long time, until I finally got to a point where God was like, okay, you've done things on your own. How's it working out for you?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. I'm an ass. You know, I get it. And it became real to me. I owned it, that this is why God gives us the instructions that he does. It's to keep myself from being hurt, is to protect my heart, and is to protect her heart as well. And so it's love and respect for one another and for ourselves is what it comes down to. But I was going to finish off with one point, but I've lost my train of thought. Do you remember how this started, what you said that made me start down this path?
I said, just at the very least, showing you his teachings would show you how to not be an asshole.
Oh yeah, to not be. Yes. And so I guess that's basically it. Is it's the reason that he's doing it is to protect you and to protect others. Oh, I remember. And so, but the posture we should have, and what this is the true teachings of Christ, is, like I said, I wouldn't say I'm an asshole, okay, but I am flawed, you know.
Yeah.
I can't do it on my own. And so I come to that realization, but then, and you got to get to that realization. A lot of people, like I said, they excuse it off. They're just like, you know, he's going to condemn people to hell. That's ridiculous. You know, I'm only human, you know, I'm not that bad. Oh, you know, whatever, pick whatever sin it is, you know, whatever. God tells you not to do that, and that's just stupid. And then so you don't want anything to do with it for that reason. But if you have the posture of seeing, here's the mirror, and this is how you suck. Okay? This is where you're flawed. Christ is telling you that this is how we should live. And then you just say, you excuse it off and walk away. It doesn't change the fact that you're flawed and that this is his standard. And you can be cocky and arrogant about that, or when you come, like what the Bible calls repentance, you hit a point where it's like, okay, you have a choice to make. You either turn away from it, which is repentance, you turn away from that sin and you turn toward God, or you keep diving into that sin and you just continue to walk into it. And even after you're saved, you're gonna sin. You're gonna become flawed. But in the movies, did you ever see Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
It came out when you were real young. But so in Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks' character, he is tasked with, he's in a position of leadership, and he takes a platoon to go and find this guy, because he had 3 brothers or 4 brothers who were killed in action, and he was the 5th one. And the Secretary of the Army said, we're going to pull this 5th kid out, and we're going to bring him home to his mother, because she has lost 4 of her 5 sons. And so that's what the movie is about, is they go into a war zone to rescue Private Ryan, who's played by Matt Damon, okay? They finally do. They save him, and they're in one final battle before they can get him out and rescue him. And Tom Hanks' character, who went in just to save him, he gets killed. And his dying words are, he looks at Matt Damon's character, Private Ryan, and he says, "Earn this." And then he dies. And his point is I gave you my life. I came and I saved you and I died for you. Earn this. And then he dies. And so Private Ryan, his entire life after that, he's like a kid who's like 18, 20 years old. He just sees the man who gave his life so that he could be rescued and go home with his mother. And then, the end of the movie, he ends as an old man, and he is at Tom Hanks' grave. And he has his children behind him and grandchildren behind him. And there's this whole huge family. And they're all kind of waiting for him to have an alone moment at the gravesite. It's in Arlington National Cemetery with Tom Hanks. And he just breaks down crying. And he's like, every day of my life, I've thought about what you said to me. And I have tried to earn what you did for me. And I've tried to earn a life worthy. And I hope that all I can do is hope that I've made you proud. And that is the position, that is an analogy of what our position should be for Jesus Christ. Once you get to that point, he suffered and died gruesomely, okay? He was abandoned. He was left all alone. His best friends, his disciples, denied him and ran off because they were afraid. So I don't even know that guy, and they let him go by himself and get tortured and killed. The worst kind of Roman execution that you can experience in crucifixion. And he did it because there was no other way. This death, there was a spiritual significance in this death that we can't fully comprehend that needed to occur to make mankind right with God. And one of his last words that he said was, God, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And he said, it is finished. And he died on the cross. And in that moment, he put to death the sins of the world. The moral injustice that we all know exists. There is good, there is evil. We have that morality inside of us. Even if there are varying levels of it, and people think some things are, there is a moral compass in all of us. And he had to die for the flaws that we have in that moral code. And once we realize that, once you come face to face with the sin that you have, and how flawed you are, and how unworthy of heaven you are, if he were to let us in, we'd just screw heaven up. I mean, heaven is perfection, and we would just F it up. But he gave us a way through this death. That, it's called reconciliation, or it's called the spirit of reconciliation, atonement. It's an atonement for our sin. And he did that. And then you realize he did that for me. If you were the only one on the planet, if you were the only one that needed salvation, Daniel Thomas Nelson, Timothy Nelson, sorry, wrong brother, Daniel Timothy Nelson, if you were the only one left on earth, he would still have died for you. And when you come to that realization, me, he did that for me so that I could be in heaven, as flawed as I am. Dude, it's an impact in your soul that you cannot equate. Nothing matches it. And so that's the posture that we come to once you hit that point. And so when I live out my life, I'm not trying to live turning away from sin because I'm afraid of hell. God's going to be mad, and he's going to spank me, he's going to smite me. No, it's because look at what he did for me. And then he told me, earn this. I'll be with you through it all. Do the best you can. Pick up your cross daily and follow me. And that's what he says. Because it's a daily battle. It's a daily struggle. And that's what he calls us to do. To earn it. But when we are flawed, the Bible says we have an advocate who stands in our defense. Jesus Christ, the righteous one. So it's like that's terminology that's used in court. And so it's like you're guilty of something in court. And you have somebody who comes and stands in your defense, like your attorney. And you've got a fine that needs to be paid, and this attorney goes and first he defends you and then pays your fine for you so that you're covered, and you have somebody who stands in your defense. Jesus Christ, the righteous one. And the reason he's the righteous one is because he was righteous. He never sinned. So he had the ability to pay for our sins because he didn't have to pay for his own. Deep theology, I know. I told you I could talk about this all day, but
Yeah.
but that's the posture, man. Is it's this massive humbling, this humility that you have coming before God, and it's not a. I mean, he's wrathful and he's scary for sure, but that's not the posture. It's I love you with everything in me, the Creator of the universe. We can't even comprehend him, man, and he loves you. He loves me, no matter what. And he gave us a path to heaven. He came down to rescue us because we were unable to rescue ourselves. All right, how long have we been going on that one, brother?
No idea. That's fine.
There you go.
Let's get it all on video. Okay, next question. Okay, what do you love to do that no one knows about?
So I don't know if it's no one, but few people, I guess. I love to strategize something I'm passionate about, even though I have minimal or no influence over it or power to make it happen whatsoever. So one example is the American Prairie Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
I literally, because you can order from the American Prairie Reserve a map, of all the lands that they own.
Yeah.
I will literally lay out this map and get a marker, and I'll go and look to see what lands are for sale in the area. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, this would be a perfect property. And then I'll go and research exactly what area this property encompasses, and I'll draw on that map of how American Prairie would look if they were to purchase this property. And I'll email their email box and say are you guys aware of this property that's available? It's a really good price and blah blah blah.
And they're like, believe it or not, we are.
Yeah. Yes.
We've got someone just like you doing this.
Yes, exactly. And it's like I'm just a dude down in Dallas who I donate to them once a month, but I'm not part of their strategic team. So they always give me the same answer, like we don't discuss any potential acquisitions, And so, but it's like, okay, I just want to make sure you're aware of it because this is a really good freaking price, okay? And what really gets my goose is when I see some of those properties and I email them, and then a few months later I see the announcement that American Prairie has purchased that very same property that I was looking
that
at.
Happened?
Yes, it
Multiple
has.
Times?
Yes, twice. Twice. It has happened. Yes.
That's cool.
I think I sent you an example of saying with little arrows pointing to the properties. So the upper one was one that I had sent them, and they purchased it straight up. It's adjacent to Fort Peck Indian Reservation.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that's one thing. And then another example is the Trump administration. I'm like, okay, here are all the positions of his cabinet. Dude, who would be the best people in his cabinet? Oh, this person would be lights out in this position. JFK, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, And then, okay, what about this position? As if I have anything to do with the decisions that Trump is going to make. Yes.
Fantasizing about building the roster.
Yes! Yes! But, dude, like I said, I'll show you a picture of the map I have where I have, properties traced out with a marker onto the map.
You have definitely sent me that stuff before.
Yes.
But I couldn't remember if any of them had actually been realized by APR.
Yes. And then there's one recently that I've been looking at for about a year, man. And they just recently announced they purchased part of it. It's called I think the Schenk, SCHENK something, property. And they purchased part of it, but for some reason it's a 60,000 acre property. But for some reason they only purchased 15,000 acres of it. But relatively speaking, it was dirt cheap. It's like $280 an acre or something like that. Insane. Anyway, that's something that few people know that I like to do. And my wife will walk in and see me with a map out and mark this up. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
just fantasizing.
Dude, yes. I mean, just look at that. If they were to buy that would be a huge chunk of land they would join to there. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, whatever." It's fun.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's no different than when you play Madden. You can do a fantasy draft.
Yeah.
So you just have 53 rounds of you picking your favorite players. I don't know if you've ever done that.
No.
But we would do that, me and Toby.
And it's just fun as heck, just fantasizing.
It's just every single player is available, and you start from the beginning, and every team goes round by round, and you pick your favorite players or whatever, whoever's available.
And you see players you'd really want get drafted by someone else, and you're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun.
Yes, that's basically it. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. Good times.
Yeah, fun.
Sometimes it can be a big disappointment, though. I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. And then you hear murmurings of it's going to be this person, and then it ends up being somebody else that you hate.
Yeah.
Like, what the F would you pick that person for, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But, yeah, fun times.
Yeah.
I seriously didn't think it was going to be this long. But they were in there saying, oh, yeah, right, Paul. You're not going to talk too much, right?
No, same thing happened. Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just opens it up, and then you get me preaching.
Yeah.
Don't get me preaching.
That's fine. We'll watch it later.
There you go, man.
Later on. Okay. Which one? Okay, yeah. When was the last time you were proud of yourself?
This year I lost 16 pounds.
Really?
Yes,
Damn.
yes. So these pants actually had gotten to where they were really tight, and they're actually fitting pretty darn good now. Actually, I just
Okay.
pointed that out. Yeah, but yeah, I'd gotten heavy, so I was 216, and I got down to 200.0. Okay, and right now I'm sitting at 204, so I've gained back a little bit of weight, so I need to get the rest of it off. And that's my goal for next year, by the way, is to get below 200.
Really?
I remember when I hit 200 pounds, I was 16 years old, because in football you were trying to gain weight, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I hit 200 when I was 16, a sophomore, and I was like, okay, that's a good milestone. And then, I was trying to gain weight, and then I graduated, I weighed 213, but all that was muscle. But then I got heavier through the years, off fluctuating with body fat and everything else. But yeah, I was 216 earlier this year. I was like, okay, I've got to do something about this, and I started counting my calories and exercising. I've been exercising, but I started counting my calories, and I got down to 200. But 2 times, I've gotten to 200.0. Okay, where I've tried to lose weight throughout the years, like the past 20 years or whatever. And I don't know why. I just need to get down a tenth of a pound to get under 200.
It doesn't happen.
And it doesn't happen. And then it's like, I don't know if there's something psychological, because I think part of me is like, okay, under 200, then I'm not a big guy anymore. Like it's almost weird. Like I don't want to be small.
Yeah.
I still like being a big dude, and under 200, and so I don't know what it is, but I get to 200.0, and then I'll start ticking back up weight again. Like I get lax in managing my calories, but I really do need to get down like to 195, and I 190, 195. I wouldn't say below 190. If you look at the scale, like if they say someone of my height and shoulder width or whatever should be at like 184 or something optimally, but I don't know. So maybe that's true. As I get older, I'll get down to that weight. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's an accomplishment that I think made myself kind of proud.
Nice. Yeah. It's funny. I don't even notice people's weight or appearance really. So if people are telling me they've lost weight, like 16 pounds is a good little chunk.
Yeah.
Like I would not have known if you had 16 pounds extra.
If I showed you pictures of me when I was
maybe.
16 pounds heavy, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I can see it. Face a little bit bigger than it is right now, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But it's all right. And then as we get older, dude, it's even more important to keep that weight off, man. Our heart's getting older too.
Yeah.
Your knees, your cartilage, your tendons, they're getting older too.
Yeah, I'm 36 now, and healing takes forever.
Yeah, man. I was 35, and I went and got a routine physical. And in my 30s, I'd fallen off of my workout routine. I was not active because I got a big promotion at work and just stopped working out, stopped exercising. And I was 35, and I get a call a few days later from the nurse, and she's like, okay, you have high cholesterol. Doctor would like for you to try this medicine. We're going to start you off on this many milligrams, and then you're going to come back every month. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm 35. I have high cholesterol?
Yeah.
And she's just like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And so I went in to see the doctor. I'm like, okay, doc, I'm not getting on cholesterol medicine at 35. Okay,
No,
what do
sir.
I need to do to get it down? He's like, well, if you count your steps, walk 10,000 steps a day, that's been known to get cholesterol down. And if you start taking fish oil, omega-3. Start taking omega-3 and start walking 10,000 steps a day. And so I started doing that. It was before your phones and watches did it. And so I got a pedometer, and I put it on my belt, and I started tracking my steps every day. And I realized I was walking like 3,800, 4,200, like around 4,000 steps a day is what I was walking on the norm. And I'm like, well, it's no wonder my heart just started calcifying with cholesterol. It's just sitting there beating, not doing anything all day long,
Yeah.
And so I started walking 10,000 steps a day, parking in the back of parking lots, to get extra steps in as you're walking up. And I started taking omega-3. And in 6 months' time, I reduced my cholesterol by 20%. I went from total cholesterol about 250 down to 200, which is you're supposed to be at 199 or below. And so I didn't have to get on cholesterol medicine.
Yeah,
so
good.
that was good. But ever since then, I've been cognizant of walking and staying on top of my cholesterol.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So anyway, you bring up being 35. That 35, it's 36, but 35 is when it hit me. You're getting older.
Yeah.
You are no longer young. You are middle-aged.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've started walking now because I would take lunch. We get an hour for lunch, and I'll just go sit in my car for an hour and snack. Usually Or I'll go get some crappy fast food, but now I've stopped. I'll just eat a Cliff Bar. But I found a park nearby. It's
There you
only
go.
like 6 minutes away, so I go there and they have a whole like figure 8 trail.
Perfect, bro.
So I'll go walk for like 45 minutes now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, because
that's the kind of stuff you do. Just you create a new habit.
Yeah, because I used to do that at Capital One. I would walk every single day on lunch.
Yeah. I remember people say, I saw your brother walking today.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember Pete.
Yeah.
He's like, I see you walking out there. Where are you going?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going anywhere.
Just walking.
I'm just
man.
walking.
Yes, dude. That's great. That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
It's something about you raise your heartbeat to a low level. It's like not to cardio. It's like active zone or something.
Yeah.
Just raising it up a little bit, where instead of 70, it's 90, Yeah. That sustained is very healthy for the heart, man.
Yeah.
It's very healthy. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And it's actually good for your spine, too. It, like, helps keep your spine aligned. But anyways, yeah good for you, man.
Yeah. Good for
I
us.
used to do walking 10-10s, too. Yeah, just looking for opportunities. And when I got married, I also married dogs, not just a wife. And so they keep me accountable, too, every night. They're like, are we going on a walk? And so even when I'm just beat after a day, I'm like, fine, let's go for a walk. So, yes.
You gotta take care of the other children.
Yes, exactly, dude. Got to.
Yeah.
You feel bad for the dogs being stuck in the house all day long.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
Wolves in the wild, dude, they'll travel 10, 20 miles every day, and then these poor dogs are stuck in their den.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Cool. Well, congrats. Good job. Keep it up.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Last question. I think.
And then maybe a bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything you want to accomplish by your next birthday?
I would like to get under 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So maybe next interview I'll be able to say I am now 199 pounds, or whatever it is. That's what I'd like to do. And then, of course, as a dad, and that's one thing, too, when we were talking about faith earlier, there is no greater accountability than when you have a child. None. Because you see this child who's emulating you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make mistakes, you start seeing this child emulate those mistakes. Like being hot-tempered, okay? I don't have a long fuse, and so I get irritated and frustrated. You may know that a little bit as my little brother. And so then I see him having a short temper and getting irritated and frustrated easily. And so another part of that is just continuing to surrender to God and just have God just work that out of me, to build that patience in me. And I have seen improvements in myself since he was a baby. And that's all it's about. And of course you've got your wife too. You've got Mama, and you guys are a team together. And I could be such a better husband and such a better father, and that's what I'm just striving to allow God to do in me every day. But sometimes, she'll have her moments where she's struggling, and I've got to try to help pick her up. And then I have moments when I'm struggling, and she's trying to help pick me up. And so that's the great thing about having the woman I love in this partnership together, But sometimes it can be tough when you're struggling and she's struggling. And so then, so you're both held like, okay, listen, we got to get it together here. And, dude, I'm telling you,
I can't help you, you can't help me, but it's...
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna have to figure this out.
And she's wonderful, dude. And, we both realize, and she and I, we are what the Bible calls equally yoked. Like, a yoke is like picture an ox carrying that bar over their back. That's called a yoke. And they're dragging something behind them. And so it's basically saying, like, you guys carry life together, that you're able to carry the burdens the same, but you're also just, your faith is aligned. So she and I are equally yoked, like where we both have the same amount of faith, we both have the same realizations, and we are under no illusions of our struggles individually, and how we need God to continue to improve us and to build us up and to be a reflection of Him. But that little guy is what keeps us accountable to that. So that's definitely what I'll be continue to focus on this coming year.
So you said something that I guess he makes you realize, like, you see yourself in him sometimes. Has he ever made you do like a double take when he's being, I don't know, when he's doing something bad?
Oh,
you're like,
gosh.
Oh crap, he learned that from me.
Yes. Yes.
Or as Kelly pointed that out, you get mad at him and you're like, or she's like, she's copying you, and you're like, oh crap.
Yes. He or I'll hear him say something that surely came from her. Like, for example, this one sticks out to me. I was on vacation at Sturgis, so I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was gone for 7 days, I think, and I come home, and even in a week's time, I felt a very small example of what military guys feel when they're gone for like 3 months at a time, and then they come home, and their household is run a certain way without them, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard these stories?
Mm-mm.
And then the guy comes back home, and he's still the father. He's still dad, and he still has authority in the house. But they've got their own routine. Mom has been the authority for 3 months, and now he comes home and he starts acting like he can start telling people what to do, and it totally F's up their game. And moms and dads are different. Like, that's a huge challenge to parenthood. Huge. It might be the greatest challenge is getting and staying on the same page with your spouse, because you're both equally responsible for raising this child.
Yeah.
But you both have philosophical differences
Yeah.
of opinions in how to raise a child. Like, something that's a big deal to her, I think is stupid, personally. Like, this is not a big deal. You're making this into a really big deal, and it's very hard on him, but it is a big deal to her.
Yeah.
Something that's a big deal to me, she's like, why are you making this such a big deal? He already has so much to carry around. But it is a big deal to me. You know, and so you've got to find a way to get on the same page. And so that's difficult. But I come home after being gone for a week, and they had their own routine going.
Mm-hmm.
And usually with me, my big thing is diet. Like, I feel like you're creating his habits that he's going to either struggle with or be accustomed to for his whole life, really. Okay, I love me some cereal. I love me some sugar, because we just had sugar and cereal all the time growing up.
Cereal for every
Oh,
meal.
yes, exactly. And so I still have those struggles that I bring with me from my childhood. And so it's just in our society, one of the greatest vices in our society, if not the single greatest vice, is our diet. You know this more than anybody. It's just trash, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and so it's killing us, dude. It's killing us.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to me, and that's such an important aspect of your life and of health. Probably the most important aspect, even more so than exercise, is your diet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have an opportunity with this life to build good eating habits. Anyway, I'm getting off on tangents, dude. I just keep talking. But I get home, and there's some habits that I don't necessarily agree with at the table. And I'm like, what, does he get dessert for after every dinner now instead of it just being a periodic treat? You know, things like that. Anyway, I was like, honey, why don't you do this? You know, talking to Nathan, trying to like ask him to do something. And then he says, Daddy, why are you so particular about everything?
You're like, that's not a new
And
vocabulary.
I just turned and looked at Russie. I'm like, are you gonna tell me?
Gosh.
Are you gonna tell me that he just picked up that phrase by his own mind? And she's just like, I did not say that. I did not say that. I did not say that. And it's like, and then we had a talk, and I didn't like chew her butt or anything, but like I seriously feel like a small version of when a dad goes away to deployment and comes back, and the household is being run without respect to him whatsoever, and she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel that way, but anyway, so yes, he says and does things, and sometimes he'll be like, act like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, and she goes, he is his father's son, oh my gosh, so often.
Yeah.
But the time when I'm concerned about it is when I'll see the hot temper disc coming out, and I'm like, Nathan, listen, we all struggle with this, okay? Your mother and I both, and so that means you're going to struggle with this. All it is developing habits. You just develop good habits. This isn't overwhelming. Don't be overwhelmed by it. You're meant to be a leader. And so it's good because you're passionate and you can lead people. And that's what God has in store for you. So I'm not telling you you are bad. I'm just saying you've got to manage it. Manage it. It's hard to explain that to a 6-year-old in a way he can understand, but because you want to build him up at the same time as helping him manage his behavior, right? It's so tricky. Oh my gosh. So tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see it all the time, man. And that's a part of what I mean by that's the ultimate accountability. Because when you mess up, he's going to mess up. But when you and your wife are off kilter, his whole behavior changes, dude. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Like when Rusty and I are snippy with each other, he will start getting in trouble at school. I mean, it's just night and day. But then when she and I are in a good place and we're being kind and patient with each other, he's a sweet boy. And he'll like come and give us hugs and stuff. And
Wow.
yeah, dude, it can be overwhelming sometimes, but God's given it to us, man. It's like, you know, this is your household. I trust you with it. Go.
Yeah. No, I think you guys are doing all right.
Thanks, brother.
Doing all right.
We're trying.
Okay, bonus question. Seth and Sarah did this when I interviewed them.
We're on our bonus question.
Almost done. What do we got? Oh yeah, 7 minutes. Yeah, they just wanted to throw in there how we met. So that was fun. I guess that was kind of a question for both of us. But for me and you, this is I have zero recollection.
Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, if you want to give the story about
oh heck yeah,
first time
man.
you saw me.
Dude, when was the first time I saw? I did not get to the hospital. I don't think we got to the hospital. I think it wasn't until they brought you home. I remember more of the news of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so Mom, with the first 3 pregnancies, she did not find out the sex until we were born. And that was just a thing. She's like, no, I want it to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Which we did with Nathan, by the way, which was just awesome.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
dude, yeah. Come on. No, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Come on, let's do this the natural way, you know?
Yeah.
And so mom didn't do it. But then she's got twins. She knows this is her last pregnancy. She really wants to know if she's going to have this girl. And so curiosity finally gave in on her 4th pregnancy. And she's like, okay, tell me what I'm going to have. And they're like, okay. And they're like, okay, we can see that this one on the right is going to be a boy. We cannot tell. We can't get a good view of the one on the left. So you're going to have at least one boy. And she's like, okay. And so then next sonogram, it's like, okay, let's see. Okay. Dang it. Okay, the one on the left is definitely a boy. At this point in the pregnancy, they don't really switch places a lot, and so I can't tell the one on the right this time, but I'm pretty sure you're going to have 2 boys, because the one on the right last time was a boy, the one on the left this time is a boy, and I'm pretty sure it's the same babies in the same spot, and so it looks like you're going to have 2 boys. And so I was like, okay, we're going to have 2 boys, we're going to have 5 boys, golly, we're going to have 5 boys, it's going to be crazy. So much for that girl we were looking for, or whatever. Well, it was your pecker both times, obviously. But it was like, okay, there was still kind of a chance that we might have a girl, but maybe not. So we went to school. We took the bus. That's when we lived in Highland Village, and we took the bus to and from school at that time. And Mom was in the hospital. Dad was at home. The bus dropped us off, and me and Kevin for sure. I don't know if Adam was on the bus with us at that point, but the way I remember, we were all 3 getting off the bus, and we took off running down the street because they dropped us off at the end of the street, and we had to run home to our house from the street because we knew that Mama had her babies, and we wanted to see, did she have 2 boys or did she have a boy and a girl? And we came running in, and we come crashing through the door. We're like, well, what'd she have? And Dad was like, she had a boy and a girl. And we were so excited that we were going to have a little baby brother and a little baby sister. Oh my gosh, we were so freaking excited. And then I don't think we got to see you in the hospital because it would have just been too chaotic to bring 3 hyperactive
3
boys,
children.
yes, to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so it was when they brought you home, and you had these 2 little twin babies, one in blue pajamas and one in pink pajamas. And Mom loved to dress you up in their little Raggedy Ann and Andy, Pebbles and Bam Bam,
Yep.
all your little matching outfits, dude. Mom freaking loved it. And you were the cutest darn little kid, man. You were just a cute kid. And you're not a high energy person. You're more laid back, and so you were just always just fun and sweet, and I would tickle you when you would actually laugh. Megan would scream and say, I hate being tickled. But you would laugh and giggle, dude. You were the cutest little kid, man. And I almost called him Daniel. I will still call Nathan Daniel sometimes.
Especially
just because
when we hang out. You call him Daniel all the time.
Yes, when we're hanging out.
Yeah.
That's because you were my little toddler. You were my little boy. God, dude, I'm a decade older than you, So I remember everything. You were there through my entire adolescence. You were a little kid running around the house, We had a blast, man. You were so fun. That's when we met, brother. You were my little baby brother, Highland Village. Yeah, that's where you guys lived. But it was that year though, is when we moved here.
Yeah.
So
That
you were
October,
born
yeah.
there, so you have zero memories there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it, man. That was your house. But we outgrew that house. It was only 3 bedrooms, and then we came and bought this house with 4 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So that, yep.
Yep.
There
We're
it
still
is.
here.
Grew up in the colony, baby.
Yeah. That was pretty cool that we're doing the interviews in front of the Reagan house.
It is. It is. That's
Yeah.
ironic, man.
Yeah. Been here
Works
forever.
out perfect.
Yeah.
We have, dude. Oh, this is all you've ever known.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I have memories of Houston.
Really.
I asked Kevin the other day, and he was like, I don't think so. And he's like, no, I've got some small memories, but because I was 6 or 7 when we moved up here from Houston, so
Yeah.
Kevin would have been 4 or 5. So he's got to have some, but Adam would have been 2 or 3, so
Yeah.
he probably doesn't have any.
Yeah.
I think he said he does have some memories, but yeah, man. I'm telling you, you and I were raised with 2 different sets of parents. They were very different raising you and Megan than they were me.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness. You never got a spanking.
Not from them. I remember one time you slapped my wrist. Or the back of my hand
So
or something.
your big brother gave
Yeah.
you a spanking, but your parents didn't.
Yeah. I don't
Same
know.
thing with Megan. I spanked Megan one time because she took my pizza. I bought pizza with my own money and brought it in, and I told her, like, don't take my pizza, and she thought it would be funny to do it, and so she took it and she, like, ate it right in front of me and took off running out back.
Oh my god.
And I got so mad, and she was running down the alley eating it, trying to eat it before I got to her, and I just chased after her and picked her up over my shoulder and just started spanking her, and she was like, "Al, stop, what are you doing?" Not hard, just like slap, slap, slap. But anyway, so yeah, that's funny. So you guys got spankings from me.
Yeah. Yep.
That just hit me. Like, not from them, but from you,
Yeah,
a-hole.
I don't recall ever being spanked.
No, Dad never spanked you, because I remember when you were older, like 10 or 11 or something, he was like, I've never given you a spanking, but I'm going to start if you keep it up. And I was like, you never gave him a spanking? And he's like, no. And I'm like, how has he never gotten a spanking? I mean, dude, we used to get spankings with the belt, bro. Oh, man, yeah, we got spankings.
I don't know. I'd like to think to myself that I wasn't as bad as you guys.
You weren't. You guys are both well behaved.
And
kids.
then also, I don't know if you guys fed off each other and did even
I don't
wilder.
know why. We were nuts. I have visions of being in the grocery store with Mom and just going berserk. And poor Mom was just we were out of control.
God.
She could not control us. And like chasing Kevin around the cart and like being so ticked off at him and yelling and screaming. And I remember she would give this embarrassed laugh to other parents in the grocery store. Like people would be looking over with this judgment look, and she would just look and start laughing this embarrassed laugh.
Oh, God.
Come, stop it right now. Oh my gosh, it was so funny, man. Yeah, buddy. God bless mother and father.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
dude, that's one thing, raising one. Sometimes I'm like, my parents raised 5 of us, and I'm struggling so hard with this one little guy. So much respect for them, dude.
For sure.
So much respect for them.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, this was fun, brother.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, you probably have to trim it down some. Probably,
Nah.
I think I beat the record. We're probably pushing an hour at
That's
this point.
That's fine.